Hello there, and welcome to my very first Photoshop tutorial video, where Jarr-Bear, will teach you all how to make your very own mole. The mole is a creature that is very precious to me, and I just wanted to share his grace with you all. Let's just get right into it. What we're going to do first is open up a new document, and what I'm going to set it as is a width of 10 inches by a height of 11 inches. I will actually move it up just a little bit more so I have a little bit more room to work with. Here we have our blank canvas here, and we're going to start out with just entering in some of our base colors that we're going to be using. And those 4 colors that we're going to start out with are 6BBAEF, which is going to be our light blue, which is going to be basically the skin color of our mole. The outline of him will be this color, which is like a darker blue. For the mounds that he is going to be coming out of will be the EB284, which will be the inside of the mound. The outline of the mound will be 362813, which will be a darker brown. And as you can see, that got rid of the other 2 colors of the mole, but we're going to be starting out with the mounds, so that won't matter as much. And I'll get to how you can easily access the other colors later. We're going to start out with clicking our ellipse tool, which will probably look like a rectangle at first for you, so you want to just hold that down and then move over and click ellipse tool right there. As you can see, I already got this set up right now. The fill will be our light brown color, and our stroke will be the dark brown color there. And you'll want to set your stroke to wide enough pixel size, which I'm going to use 62 because I think it's a pretty average way to express his outlines. And what we're going to do is just start out with our first mound, like so, or you could change it up a little bit. I'm going to start out with just this oval. Now that we got our first one, we're actually going to do a few more behind that layer. So what you're going to want to do is basically just click the background right here and then just make some more circles that are, I would say, smaller than your front mound, because these ones are going to go behind it. And you're going to want to angle these a little bit more too, so then it looks like it's kind of wrapping around the mole. And then on the other side, I'll probably do a little bit smaller, so then it looks like it wraps around a little bit more on this side than the other side. We'll probably go there and get another one around here. We'll just start going back on this side. I'm going to make that one a little bit longer though, and then angle that one a little bit more. And I'll probably put in one more to really add the most to it. And I don't know if you can see what I was doing there, but how you can, obviously you can change the size like so, like that. Say you wanted to move specifically horizontally instead of moving the entire thing, you can hold shift and then click and drag, and then it'll do that. You can do that similar with vertically, like so, or anything like that. And then I'm going to add just a little bit extra, just to add a little bit more variety. So like one down here, and then like one just sticking off there, where it's just a little bit smaller. And then I think that should be good for the base of our mole, and I'm going to change the angle of that just a little bit. And then I'm just going to label these. Just going to say like first left, and then first right, second right, so I can just easily navigate these basically. And then what I'm actually going to do before I continue on helping with creating the mound, I'm actually going to change this one just a little bit more. And you can just make the mound in any way that you really want to. If you feel like you have a better idea of what you want yours to look like, feel free to just go off on your own as well. And like I was saying before we get going on kind of just like putting these all together, I'm actually going to group them all. So what you want to do is hold Control and then click each one of the layers that you want in your group. Right click, and then you want to go to Group from Layers. and then you want to name the group like mound. And then there you go. You have a little file right here that is all the ovals basically for your mound. Now that we got our main ovals all set up, we're going to now kind of like sharpen and or like add some more definition to our mound. So then they're all connected with the fill color, just so then the outline looks better. If you want to move like all things together instead of merging them all, just select them all again and then just move it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out on this first one right here, and I'm going to copy this layer. I usually just do Control C. It's easiest for me, and then I'll just Control V. And then we have an exact copy of the front oval of our mound. Set your fill to nothing, and then set your stroke to like a different color that stands out from the mound, which I'll just do black. Set the pixel to 1. So it's super, super thin. You can barely see it there. And then I'm going to say front oval tool. And I'm just going to lock that oval in place so then I don't accidentally grab it. Now that we have this outline, what we're going to do is kind of just use this as like a tool to help us add just a little bit more of definition to the mound. And I'm going to actually size it down just a little bit. And maybe around there. Let's try that. What we're going to do next is we're going to rasterize the image so then we can actually like draw on it and erase stuff on it. And that goes the same with our outline tool, which we'll also need to use so then we can use our magic wand on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press W, which is just a quick little shortcut to grab this little tool, which is the magic wand tool. Just click outside of the circle, and it'll select everything outside of the circle right here. And then you'll want to click back on the front oval, like so. We're actually going to erase this outline like this. So then it looks something like that, and there's a little bit of extra there that we can actually change a little bit if we want to, or something like that if you like want to add an extra little bit of definition for yourself. But I'm gonna leave it like that, and then we can check to see if it looks good. And I think that looks pretty good. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of what I'm trying to do with it, but if not, that's okay because we can keep going farther and farther into this, and then you'll kind of get a better idea. I'm going to try and erase this piece right here, like right there, so then it looks a little bit better. And also, if you didn't see that with the outline here, instead of having to right click and deselect, you can actually just do Control D, and then it'll automatically deselect it for you. And we're just going to do the same thing, 1 pixel, black outline, no fill, and then we have a tool right there, and we'll rename that to tool. Kind of just get rid of that so that we don't have to see it right now. And then we're going to rasterize this one. And we're also going to magic wand this. I also made a little bit of a mistake, which is the tolerance on the magic wand up here, which is kind of just like the color balance on what you want to select, basically. And it should be like 10 or 100 or so to actually select the differences on here. Since we have the selection inside right here, what we're going to do is go back to the front oval and then grab the eraser again, and then we're actually just going to erase that dark brown right there. And now you can see that there's a little bit of just a little sharp edge, basically, make it look a little bit better. We're kind of going to do the exact same thing on this side right here. So we're going to go back and grab our tool and then line it up on the other side. And I'm going to Control T so then I can get this little menu and then just flip horizontally so I can easily line it up a little bit better. And maybe I don't want this, maybe I don't want this to look exactly the same as that. Like that one's pretty big. I'm going to make this one a little bit skinnier if I can. And if I don't like it, I can just Control Z always if I ever make a mistake. So what we're going to do again, W, magic wand, select on the outside, like so, go back to the front oval, erase tool, and just erase like so. Maybe we can make it look a little bit better. It looks a little too, it doesn't look like it lines up with the line very well, so I'm going to change it just a little bit. Let's see if that one works. I think that looks pretty good. I think that should work though. And like we did on this one right here, we're actually going to make the copy of it again, of this one, because it's the exact size. And we're just going to rasterize that one, and then magic wand, select the inside, and then eraser tool. You can press E to quickly access the eraser tool, like so. Bang, just like that. And you'll also get to see this sometimes where there's a little, I think there was one on this side. Nope. You'll see that the dark outline is actually starting to peer out a little bit from this one over here. And what you'll want to do with that is kind of just grab your paintbrush tool and then just kind of line it up there, dab it in there just a little bit. And it should keep the sharp edge of it still. And you can see that it's connecting now, which is good. It looks a little weird at first glance, which is kind of how it's gonna look at first. But once you kind of start doing the same thing to each one, you'll start to realize that it actually kind of works together. And we can do a little skinny one if we need to. Actually, what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to kind of mix it up just a little bit. I'm going to go on the inside for this one, so then we can get a little bit more variety. As you can see, I have it lined up here with that black oval, and where it does, it's just kind of lined up with it, so then it cuts in on the inside this time. And what we're going to do is do something very similar, but we're going to select the inside of it this time. Actually, instead of erasing it, I'm going to use a brush, because if we were to erase it, you would immediately see the other one starts to show through a lot more, and it also gets rid of this filler right there. So we're going to use the brush instead, which if you press B, you can easily access that. And I'm going to go to about right there. So then I can leave a little bit up there, so then I can do a little bit of definition up top. Since we've done that, it looks pretty smooth, and I like the way it looks. I'm actually going to do what we've been doing, but on the bottom side. And let's try this, and we'll go back to the erase tool, and right there. I think it looks okay. I think that works. Actually, I think I'll do basically almost the exact same thing that I did with the bottom one, where I'm going to kind of just line this up. If I can do that, that would be nice. And you can see it's like perfectly lined up with it, and so then it gives it a little smooth line up, so then it doesn't look jagged or cut off or anything like that. And we're going to select inside, go back, and then brush tool since it's on the inside, like that. Let's see if it looks good. It looks pretty smooth there. Give it a little bit of a spike. And we'll actually size it down, add a little bit more curve so it looks like it would connect. I think we can try that. Select the outside, erase tool. That looks pretty good. On some Photoshops, you'll actually see this. I don't know if you can see it in the recording, but there's these little spots that look like they stick out a lot more than they should, which is kind of just a Photoshop thing being Photoshop, where if you zoom out a little too much, it shows flaws a lot more. But if you zoom in, you can see that there's not really much of a flaw. I'm actually not really liking the way how much this one kind of like pinches together, like how close those ones are. So I'm actually going to it out a little bit more so it looks a little bit smaller. It's also getting a little fuzzy, so it might get a little too choppy the bigger it gets. So you might not want to scale it this big as I'm doing. You'll see, yeah, there it is. It starts to look pretty bad, so we actually want to change that and then make this circle a little bit smaller. And sometimes it might glitch out like this where it won't even let you get the sidebar right here. It just doesn't really want to. It happens with a few of them. And what I'll do in this scenario is kind of just immediately rasterize this, and then I'll just cut out the inside so it still has that circle. Or you can do the same thing with this and use this, but I'm actually going to get rid of that. And then use this. Turn down the opacity a little bit so you can actually see through it, and it'll help you out just a little bit more. We're going to do this. We need to rasterize this as well. So we're going to select that inside and then go like that. Use the brush tool again and just outline it like so. And then we're going to go around it like that and actually just perfect, just like that. It lines up perfectly. Oh, except for that right there. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. Go like that, maybe select inverse. Yeah, that should work. And I would say that looks pretty good. And we'll select the one right above it and bang, just like that. And yeah, of course, there's a little bit of a black spot, brown spot that you can just get rid of right there. And now that I'm looking at it a little bit more, we kind of want it to connect, look like that it would actually follow into it. So it might be a little too much. We'll select the inverse and then erase that. And then we'll check that one out. And I would say that one looks a little bit better. So then it is also pointing out just a little too much, I would say. So I'm going to put in a little bit of extra effort here, make it so then the bottom will line up. And you definitely do not have to be doing this much. I just want it to look just a little bit better. Kind of like there, where I'm just going to select the inside. Brush tool. Okay, that's a little too much. That's okay. And that should be good now. There we go. Perfect. And then we'll just do the same thing that I had just done, previously shown. Select the inside, go back up, and erase tool. Bang, just like that. I think that should work. Perfect. I think that looks a lot better. This is a very useful tool that you can use. Instead of having to go in here and change the brush size manually, you can hold down Alt and then right click and then drag out, drag in, up and down. If you drag up, it changes the hardness of your brush actually. So you kind of want to keep that down so it's still 100. You can still change it. And we already have the tool for this one, so that's perfect. So then we can easily do this without any trouble, hopefully. I think I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think that is what I'm going to go with, is like right there. And I can just select the outside like usual and erase it. And what we're also trying to do through this entire thing is kind of keep the same length on all this, like how at the very start, I had said 62 was my stroke size for all this. And if you click on one like right here, it should say right there. Unlike this one, it still says 62, which is kind of what you want to keep. We're just going to go on to this one, and then so then we can round this one, sharpen this one just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. And then we'll just add in that little extra bit there. And that can also be a bit of a problem sometimes, is this little stupid cut. You can fill it in for the most part, especially if it's not that big. You can kind of just fill it in manually. We're just going to rasterize most of these, like these little ones. I'm going to actually just make it so then it kind of shows the entire fill of it. So then you can go right here and then just erase the inside right there. And you can see the full circle there. And this one, I don't even need to because it's already connected, I think, pretty well. After all that, it looks like that you have your mound. Now that we have the mound done, we can close up that file, and we can also get rid of most of the tools that we had in here. And we can close up that mound. We're going to start up a new layer and a new Eclipse tool. We're going to set this fill to this light blue that we have already entered at the beginning, and it'll be in your recently used colors. That'll be the fill, and our stroke will be that darker blue color that I was talking about earlier. We're going to want to keep this stroke at the amount that you've had it set at this entire time. And what you're going to want to do now is kind of make a pill shape of some sort to fill however much that you want. And we're also going to put this under the mound so it kind of looks like it's coming out like that. I think that looks good. You can definitely find an easier way to do this next part, which is going to be like splitting this in half and then kind of just branching it down. And now we're going to move on to making the full body. And before I actually get down to connecting it, we're going to do something really quick, which press Control T, and then you'll want to right click and go to warp. And you kind of want to just drag this top down just a smidge there. So then it kind of rounds out the top of the head. So it's not like a pinhead or anything like that. You're going to most likely want to grab the line tool and have it set at your 62 like usual. Want to actually put it dead center of that split of the halfway mark right here, which this little square kind of shows it. Or you can see right here on the blue line, it's sticking out just a little bit more on the curve where you want to get it lined up like perfectly to shoot down. So you want to click and hold and then hold shift and then just move that line straight down like so. As you can see, it's sticking out just a little too much, and you can move that down a little bit so then it goes to there or so. It might be sticking out one extra pixel than it should be. I think it's sticking out just a little too much, and you can size it down until it starts to fit a lot better for you. And there it's kind of disappeared just a little bit. And we're going to rasterize this actually, so then we can kind of pull it straight up. So you'll want to click, and then hold shift at the same time, and then drag it up. What we can do here is actually just kind of erase that little edge off so then you can't see that. And then a quick copy and paste tool to use is hold Alt and then click on the layer that you were just on, then you wanted to use, and you just hold it down, Alt and click, and right now I'm also holding shift so it moves perfectly horizontal over, and so then it kind of just bridges down like that. So now you have like a little connection with a face, kind of like a blue face almost. Rasterize this. I'm just gonna kind of erase this until that blue line kind of just goes into the one that we made. It may be a little bit sooner or a little bit later depending on yours. You can see mine is sticking out just a little bit there still, which is okay, and we can get back to that in just a little bit. And I'm just going to erase this entire bottom part. I'm also going to touch up that little mark right there, go to that line, and erase it like so. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. On this layer that's behind those two lines, we're going to actually grab this blue with I, which is your eyedropper tool to grab the color. We'll just kind of just fill it in. And what you're going to do is merge all those together, put it to the size that you kind of want it to look like. And I kind of just want it there, so I'm going to get rid of this bottom part right here, so then it just looks like it's sticking out like so. And what we're going to do next is add the mouth of our mole. And what we're going to need to do again is grab our ellipse tool and kind of make this oval shape again, whatever that size may be. Maybe I'm feeling like that. And then you actually want to grab your brush tool and make another layer like so. And then set your brush size to the exact size of your stroke, which I've previously mentioned. Mine is 62. And you kind of just want to line it up in the middle of your stroke, kind of where it's starting to move upwards a little bit more. And you kind of just want to place a little dot like that. And maybe you kind of want to press it once or twice so then it kind of gets it all the way in there until basically you can't see the blue on both sides. Like there's a little bit there. That should be fine. I think that looks pretty good. And then we're going to actually press W, magic wand, and you're going to want to select the outside of that circle and then go back here, rasterize that little layer, and then you kind of want to just erase that top part. That's a little too much off. You kind of want to just erase this right there. So you don't erase this part. You still want it to all connect together. But you can kind of get rid of most of this extra part of the oval until maybe like around halfway where it starts to move back to the left. You can kind of just guesstimate on this and just go like that. What you're going to want to do is Control D, get rid of that selection, and you can actually get rid of that, and you see there's just a little circle. Like I've already previously stated, you do not have to make your the face of your mole look like this. This is just what the original looks like, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to copy that, hold Alt and click, and you kind of just want to put it on the other side. Here you can press Control T and then right click again, and then you can flip it horizontally. And what I'm going to do is kind of just connect these two together like that, which looks pretty good. And you want it to have this like rounded W shape, kind of like what a cat has. I think that looks pretty good. And then this is where we're going to freestyle just a little bit more. And I'm just going to delete that little outline that we had. And you're going to grab the brush tool again. You're going to want to actually you're going to want the color first, that outline color. And you're going to kind of branch out like that, kind of. And you can copy that and then flip it horizontal so it's exactly the same on the other side. And then on whichever layer that you want there, you can kind of just click in the middle of that and then hold shift, and then it kind of just fills in from there. And that one's kind of a little big. That's kind of a big nose, I would say, but I think that looks okay. And you got the nose and the mouth of your mole, which is pretty simple. And I kind of have stopped labeling things because things aren't as complicated as it was before, which is very, very nice to have, where it's not as cluttered altogether. Because as you can see, our clips one, left side and then right side. And then we got the left side of the nose and then the right side and the top and fill. And you can kind of just merge those together so then you can move it freely around wherever you want. And there's a little bit of blue there. I kind of messed up there, but it doesn't really matter since it's going to be on your mole the whole time. Last but not least, you're going to make the eyes. The eyes are going to be probably a little bit bigger than what your normal stroke usually is. So he looks a little bit normal, which your size is going to be actually more than double your pixel size than usual. Like mine would be 124 if I were to double it, but I'm actually going to go above that and go to like 140. What I can just do from here is actually just add 2 eyes. So I can just make a new layer and just wherever I want, just add 2 eyes, just like that. You can kind of just get a different one every single time. This one's a little bit more rounded out, kind of like an actual pill shape, but like other ones, they're a little bit more rounded all the way around. I think this one looks pretty good. I can kind of move the mouth where I want it to, and I can even size it down a little bit if I need to. That's basically how you are going to make your own mole. Obviously, you did not have to follow my plan step by step because I kind of did it in my own way that usually you probably shouldn't do, but I still wanted to at least show how I am able to make these types of things. From here on out, this is where I kind of want you to actually freestyle without my help. You get to make your mole into absolutely your own style, where not just the mounds or the color or something like that, though you were definitely able to change those things as we go. You get to make your own in your own style. Maybe you want to have your own dress like a certain character. I don't know, maybe like Shrek or something like that. I'm not too sure. Or maybe decorate them in your favorite holiday items, or even make a brand new mole with its own texture, like this fire one character from like Adventure Time that it should show up right here. And that's kind of about it. And I hope you have had just as much fun as me making this. And I can't wait to see your guys' creations.